Yeah, I just had a question about Matthew 24:36. I'm bad with numbers. I apologize.
The day hour no one knows.
Yeah, that's the exact one. Yeah.
So you think you assume that means he's not God?
Wait, what the?
No, but I have questions regarding it. So
yeah, I'll answer that. But before I do, you're asking it because you're assuming that somehow that means Jesus can't be God. Is that what you're asking?
not
Okay. So let me know specifically what you're asking about.
I'm just wondering how it works. Jesus is God, and he has limited himself in some.
So then that's what you're asking. You just said basically.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Number one.
Go for it.
You agree, I think you do, that if this is chapter 24, Matthew doesn't want you to ignore the 23 previous chapters, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And Matthew has already set you up that when you come to this passage, that he's already shown you how not to interpret and how to interpret it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now I'm going to get to the answer, but I'm going to now show you what Matthew already told us before we got here, right?
Okay. Sure.
Go to Matthew 1. Let me work you through this. Matthew 1:20. What is, you want to read it? You can.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, please do.
All right, so she will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins.
Now, the angel told Joseph, call his name Jesus because he's going to do this. What is he going to do?
Save the people from their sins.
His people from their sins. Now, the word Jesus, Yeshua, means Yahweh is salvation.
Okay.
So he's saying, call him Yahweh salvation because he's coming to save his people from their sins. The angel's telling Joseph. Now, let me show you why this is important in light of the Old Testament. Open up Psalm 130.
All right. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand?
Now, you understand what that means, right? If God were to call you into judgment for sin, he would destroy everyone, right? Because no one is sinless, right?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Okay. That's every creature, right?
Yeah.
If Jesus isn't God, then how can he save anyone? He would need to be saved. That's number one right here.
Sure.
Now read verse 4. Verse 4.
But with you, there is forgiveness that you may be feared.
So thank God you're merciful and patient, that you don't want to destroy us, but you're patient because you want to forgive us. Number one, the angel told Joseph, this baby who's born, he is Yahweh's salvation. He will be saving people from their sins. But if Jesus is not God, you cannot say that of him because right here you're told, if God were to call people into account, no creature would survive. But now watch Psalm 130, 7-8. Same Psalm. Psalm 130, verse 7-8. Who saves people from sin? Read it.
O Israel, hope in the Lord. For with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him is plentiful redemption. And he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities.
So who alone saves people from sin?
Oh, God, Lord, the Lord.
But the angel said the baby Jesus will do that. Go back to Matthew 1. How does he do that if he's not God?
Yeah. Okay, I see the point you're making very clearly.
And I'll get to Matthew 24, but before you jump, let me make some more points.
Of course. Sorry.
So number one, Matthew already began by telling you that Jesus does something that only God can do. How if he's not God? Number two, now watch the second part. This is the one that's going to show you he's Yahweh God, but he's not the Father.
Yeah.
Read 22-23.
All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which means God with us.
So when the Virgin Mary gave birth to Jesus, that fulfilled that a virgin would give birth to who?
So he has to be God, right?
God with us, right?
Yeah, yes, of course, yeah.
So if Matthew began by telling you Jesus is Yahweh God, then however you interpret Matthew 24:36, Matthew does not want you to misinterpret it to deny that Jesus is Yahweh God. He began by telling you he's Yahweh God.
Yeah, I understand that. I can see that point.
So we got that right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't have any contentions to that.
All right, now let's go back to explain. There's only one of two ways we can understand this. Because number one, remember, Jesus is not just God, but he's born as a male baby, right?
Correct.
So he's truly human, right?
Yes, two natures.
So I'm going to walk you through this because this is our Christian theology. It's rich and deep. And I'm going to then show you two possibilities. Could Jesus be truly human if he didn't grow?
No, humans have to grow.
Could Jesus be truly human if he didn't eat food?
No, we need food to eat, to sustain ourselves.
Could he be truly human if he wasn't weak and tired?
No, he'd have to be,
Okay. Could he be truly human if he was all-knowing?
No. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now you're getting the puzzle. Now, Jesus as a man with a waking consciousness. You have a waking consciousness. So you're awake, you're conscious, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, okay, but you get the point. Now, is it not true, and this is a scientific fact, you also have a deeper subconscious?
Yeah, I assume there is. I'm not an expert in the field, but yeah, I assume there is.
I mean, that's medically true. I mean, this is
sure.
Psychological studies show it. And it's also demonstrated that in your waking consciousness, you don't recall all the knowledge embedded within your subconscious mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now, you understand how complicated that makes us. We have one nature that's limited, finite, temporal.
Yeah.
And in this nature, we have layers of consciousness. So then in one level, I know less than I do on another level, right?
Correct.
So why would you be surprised that if Jesus is man, he would have layers of consciousness? On one level, he knows more than on another level. But then when you add to that he has a divine nature, he becomes all the more complex. If he has two natures, God and man, that means as a man in his waking consciousness, he wouldn't know everything, right?
Correct. He would not know everything.
And as a man coming to serve the Father, he would only relay and communicate and know in his human mind what the Father wants him to know, right?
Sure.
But because he's God, the same Jesus will show you he does know everything. Not either or. Let me show you.
Yeah.
Go to Matthew 11:27. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. Now watch. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Now let's unpack this. Christ is saying he's a kind of person that no one knows intimately and truly and completely except the Father. What is Jesus assuming by saying this? Can you say no one knows who I am, only God knows and understands me?
Ooh. No, I'm not sure I can.
You can't, because that would be blasphemy.
Yeah, I can't.
What you're actually saying is, look, I'm an incomprehensible being beyond human comprehension and requires an infinite mind to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Why would Jesus say that? Look what he said. No one knows the Son except the Father. Who does he think he is?
Oh yeah, he's claiming, divine nature to be God.
Now, let's go to the second part. Can you as a creature say, no one knows me except God, and no one knows God except me?
No, I can't say that.
Because this assumes that it's reciprocal, meaning
yeah,
I know God the way he knows me, and God knows me the way I know him, meaning I have the same knowledge that God has of me that I have of him. Can a creature say that?
No,
because God the Father is an infinite mind, right? Can a creature say, I am the only one who knows him, and I know him the way he knows me?
No, a creature can't. They can't say
that. That's what Jesus said. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son. This is why now you need the Son to reveal God to you, right?
Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah.
So what is that a claim of? Is Christ claiming to be omniscient and incomprehensible?
Yes.
But let's take it a step further.
Okay.
Does the Father know every thought that Jesus has?
Yes.
Now, if the Son knows the Father the same way the Father knows the Son, that means the Son knows every thought of the Father, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't that include the day or an hour, because that's one of the thoughts in the Father's mind?
Okay. I didn't think of it from that perspective.
Does he?
Tick. Yeah, he has to. Yeah.
So that's the mystery of our faith. It's not either or, it's both and. As God, he knows everything the Father does, but he's man.
Thank you. I didn't think of it. I was looking at it from Jesus doesn't know, therefore, how does he not know if he's okay? That makes sense.
Because the problem is we don't read the Bible in context, and we don't see that they're affirming he's both God and man. As man, he has human limitations, but he's still God, and as God, he has all the divine attributes. It's both existing in one person, not either or.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's the traditional interpretation, but there's another interpretation.
Can I interject quickly, if that's okay?
Yes, go ahead.
The other interpretation I've seen is due to sort of more to do with Greek words, and I'm not good with Greek.
What is it again?
I think he's talking about the declarative interpretation.
Yeah, that's the second interpretation.
Okay,
now, this is an interpretation that's ancient, but remember what I said. Matthew doesn't tell us what interpretation told, right? So it's up to us. So I can't say this is right, that's wrong. Both are possible, because Matthew never comes on and says, here's how you resolve it.
Sure.
So that means a Christian is free to take either interpretation. But now let's talk about the second interpretation. The word here Idon comes from Ido. That's the Greek word Ido.
Okay.
Can mean that there is something that will not be made known. Something not made known. How do we know? Because if you go to 1 Corinthians 2:2, that's how it's used by Paul.
Yep.
1 Corinthians 2:2. So I'm going to give you the second interpretation.
Okay, thank you.
But you're free to hold either one, but you cannot deny that the same Jesus in the same gospel says he's God and knows everything the Father does.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's this word, Ido. This is the same Greek word, 1 Corinthians 2:2. For I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. That word know, same word. Now, when Paul says, I decided to know nothing, he doesn't literally mean he has amnesia. He forgot everything. Only knows that Christ. What he means is, literally, this is what he means. I decided to make nothing known to you except Jesus and his death. That's all I'm going to make known to you because that's my focus.
Yeah.
But no one would assume that Paul means he doesn't know anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's translate it with this meaning. Of the day or hour, no man makes known. Neither the angels of heaven make known, nor the Son makes known, but only the Father makes known. Now we ask why. Why can no man make known the hour? Because they don't know unless God makes it known to them.
Yeah.
Why can't the angels make known the hour? Because they don't know unless God reveals it to them and lets them make it known, right?
Yeah.
But now when we come to Jesus, why can't the Son make it known? Well, he knows it, but he can't make it known because he only does what the Father tells him.
Okay. And I'm guessing that still works in the same kind of dual process, right? So only the Father can do...
Even if he wasn't a man, being the perfect Son who perfectly carries out the Father's will, he only does what the Father wants him to do, whether as a man or not.
Okay.
Because the Trinity teaches Father, Son, Holy Spirit are perfectly united and inseparable. Yeah. So they never oppose each other. They only do the same thing. So the Son and the Spirit do the Father's will, because the Father's will is the Son's will and the Spirit's will. They're never in competition, because Jesus said the same thing about the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, sure. They have one divine.
Okay. So if we go that interpretation, let me repeat again. Of the day or hour, no man makes known. Neither the angels in heaven make known, nor the Son make known, but the Father alone. Why? Because men can't make it known because they don't know unless God reveals it to them, and he hasn't. The angels don't make it known unless God reveals it to them, and he hasn't. The Son doesn't make it known, even though he knows it, because he only does what the Father tells him to do.
Okay, sure.
Now, let me add a third element. Go back to Matthew 24:36, show it to him. Now, even in this passage, do you see that Jesus shows he's not a creature? This passage shows that Jesus is not a mere creature, because I want you to see the ascendancy. When it says no one, he means no man. Because if he means no one, inclusive, then he wouldn't say angels. They would already be included, right? Mm-hmm. So when he says no one, he means no man, neither the angels. Now, according to the Bible, angels and humans make up all of creation. When you talk about angels and humans, that's all creatures, right? Mm-hmm. According to the Bible, whether you believe it or not. Okay, now watch. Now, do you have it on the screen?
I'm about to show him. You wanted to? Were you going to show?
I mean, what 1 Corinthians 4, but it's okay. We can. Yeah. He does. Okay, he agrees. Now watch here. Now I want you to catch that this passage, which Muslims think prove their case, ends up destroying Islam and proving the Trinity. Watch.
Sure.
No man knows, Matthew 24:36. Neither the angels know. Well, that's all of creation, because creation consists of angels and humans. But where did Jesus place himself? He didn't place himself among angels nor humans. He put himself above them. Mm-hmm. How can you be above all creatures if you're a creature?
Well, you wouldn't be. You'd be uncreated.
But he just put himself above them. He goes,
I get the point. I don't contend this. He is uncreated.
Add the other element, no. Notice, though, who he belongs to. Not creation, but to the Father, because he says he's the Son to the Father. Yeah. He doesn't say that about the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got the Trinity here.
Yeah. I don't contend the Trinity. You know, and I believe it's a thing. I think it's even shown in the Old Testament in some manner. I don't have like a Muslim perspective on it. I think Islam,
no, I'm just saying the Muslims, because someone in the Muslim one asked a question. Muslim, this shows that Allah is a false God. Muhammad is an antichrist. Because even here, Jesus says, I am the Son, and I uniquely belong to the Father, and God is the Father, and Allah is none of that. So I hope you don't bring this up, but go ahead.
I have a further question. So you were saying how the Father will, declare the time. So with that,
Yeah.
that Jesus submits to his will. If Jesus made an action, would the Father submit to Jesus' will, or how does that work?
No, I mean, you're saying submit. That's the wrong use of the term.
Okay.
Jesus's actions are always in perfect unit the Father's will. He acts according to the Father's will. He said it in John 5:19, but he also said that about the Holy Spirit.
Sure. Okay.
Because if they're one God, then there cannot be a difference in decision and will, because then that would mean they're not one God, they're three separate beings, and that would be tritheism.
Yeah, I understand how that argument falls quite.
And you want me to show you the verses where Jesus says he only does what the Father does, and the Father and him do it together always?
No, I've been watching you guys for quite a while. I kind of know those arguments in and out. But yeah, those are my main questions. I have nothing else.
Good then. Come home. Come back to Jesus. He's waiting for you, buddy.
How did you on Skype?
All right. I'll reach out to you later.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. Take care of yourself, bro.